Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, guys. You've got Bert and Lanny, your boys at the Diplomats. And guys, we're talking about another action-packed week where your passive income has gone up from 10 dividend growth stocks.
Yeah. Before we jump into the 10 companies that maybe grew your passive income this week, please, everyone, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up. Look, we cover dividend news, dividend increases. We try to find undervalued dividend stocks to buy because our goal is to reach financial freedom and retire early. And we want to do it together as a community. That's the goal. So subscribe, help us out, help us achieve that important milestone.
And we love talking about dividend increases because that's one of the pillars to dividend investing, because literally by owning this asset, your income goes up. You know, companies that perform well, that increase revenue, increase earnings, that have sufficient earnings to increase their dividend, do so. And we like to buy those dividend stocks that do it every single year. And guys, 10 stocks here on this list do just that. Literally, like clockwork, increase your income stream every year, right, Bert?
That's absolutely right. And because we have 10 of them, everybody, we're going to have a pretty fast pace with some of these. We obviously want to highlight them all. Some of them we're going to talk about, we'll breeze through quickly. Others, some of the big names on here, we're going to want to probably spend a little more time on. So hang tight with us. And as always, these were only 10 increases this week. There were more of them out there. So if we don't feature one of the stock that increased your dividend during the week, please leave it in the comment section below.
100%, guys. So we're going to talk about the 10 stocks. We're going to go over the dividend growth rate that they had, what their current around approximate dividend yield is, and how many years have they been growing that dividend. All right, guys, it's time to jump into the 10 dividend growth stocks this past week of April 25th to close out the month of April. Number one on this list, you can find it in plenty of your pantries. You can find it in maybe your office drawers, or even your bedtime drawers if you want a little snack, a little late night snack. Bert's looking around.
Yeah.
Bert, what's this first stock?
All right. Kellogg's, ticker symbol K. This has been an interesting dividend stock over the last few years. It's a consumer staple giant, but they haven't exactly been on the hottest streak. They've had some debt in the past. So over the years, they have slowed down their dividend growth. That's been the story with Kellogg's. Let's see in 2022, did they change that narrative? Their quarterly dividend going into this week was 58 cents. Leaving the week, 59 cents, a 1.7% increase. Their yield now is 3.38%. And on a different note, they're closing in on becoming a dividend aristocrat. They have increased that dividend for 18 consecutive years.
That's right. I mean, again, a dividend stock, they do well during the pandemic because it's on the shelf. It's food that lasts a long time. I mean, you're talking, mini wheats, Apple Jacks, all brand Cheez-Its, Fruit Loops, you name it, Golden Grams. They have some of the, Morningstar Farms products, Pop-Tarts, the food that you just want to quickly grab that lasts a while, that doesn't get stale.
Yeah, once you give your toddler Fruit Loops and Pop-Tarts, you try taking that away from them. It's not going to be...
Yeah. Hasn't worked on Bert for 30 plus years.
Yeah, my mom still tries to take them away from me, and it's just every time it is that. All right, so let's move into stock number 2 here. Lanny, you know what we love more than anything else here on this channel, isn't that right?
Oh, man. Is this a company that's located in Northeast Ohio?
You're darn right it is. We're coming home on this list. We're starting on number 2. Company Parker Hannifin, ticker symbol PH. Interesting low yield, high dividend growth stock here. Entering the week, their dividend was $1.03. Leaving the week after this increase, $1.33. Everyone, that is a 29% banger of a dividend increase right there.
Guys, they may be number 2 on the list, but they definitely didn't take a number 2 on their dividend growth rate here.
No,
guys, almost 30% of an increase here. I mean, and Bert, what's that 5-year average growth rate for Parker Hannifin?
10.31%. and they're growing their dividend increase streak. They've increased for 6 years, and their yield after this is now almost 2%. It's at 1.93%. So again, lower on the dividend yield spectrum, higher on the dividend growth spectrum. That is exactly what you want to see for that type of comparison between the two.
There it is. Parker Hannifin, PH, got a nice 20% jump to your income stream. Sliding into dividend growth stock number 3. They're on their way to becoming a dividend king, the king of kings. We're talking Cisco, ticker symbol SYY. They went from 47 cents to 49 cents, a 2-cent increase, but doing the math, that's about a 4.3% dividend increase, yielding well over 2%, more than the S&P 500. And Bert, how many exact years are they doing this dividend increase streak for?
45 consecutive years. Yeah, they're relieving, delivering food to companies, events, areas. You see their trucks flying by on the highway all the time. This is typically the long-term type of company we like to invest in. So it's nice to see that the growth isn't the lowest. It's not the highest. 4.3 is a pretty solid dividend growth rate for this company.
You know, there definitely will be some low ones on this dividend growth list. But Bert, we were talking about big companies earlier, big dividend announcements. I think so many shareholders out there, dividend investors and other just investors in tech, investors in growth stocks, they're all looking at this company all the time. So what is this dividend stock number 4 we're about to dive into?
This dividend increase is big, but small at the same time, Lanny.
It's bigger, but smaller. It does more with less.
That's right. If you haven't guessed it by now, this company is Apple, ticker symbol AAPL. Whew. Do we want to? All right, Lanny, let's just get the increase out of the way and we'll talk about it. You increase that quarterly dividend from 22 cents to 23 cents, a 4.5% increase. That yield, wait, let me look for it down there. I'm trying to squint my eyes and see if I can hunt down that yield now. It's 0.56%.
So guys, Apple is, you know, obviously there's a lot of comments about Apple's dividend increase with a lot of focus on, oh, they're a growth company. They don't care about increasing their dividend. Well, you know, you got a low dividend yield plus a low dividend growth rate. You know, it's almost like, we'll get into another stock, but it's got like the opposite of the of what the other company currently yields and increases their dividend by. We'll get into that at you know, number, I think 9 on the list today.
Yeah, and
So,
I think the frustrating thing with Apple and this dividend increase, yeah, to your point, we understand that their growth. They're trying to pump out Apple TV. They got to keep up with technology. It's not as if Apple doesn't have a lot of cash and like marketable short-term securities on their balance sheet. They have over 50 billion of cash equivalents and marketable securities on there. So it's not like they're like scraping by for cash to throw at investors if they wanted to.
well, I mean, maybe there's a comfortability level. Obviously, there's a lot of offshore accounts that they have their cash in. You know, obviously with supply chain, that impacted quite a bit for Apple, being heavy on the nuts and bolts. I mean, literally your phones, your computers, that takes pieces and parts. Even if they're trying to develop more in-house, there are still pieces and parts that come from, you know, all over the world. So
yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, again, 4.5% increase, low yield. If you're investing in Apple, it's probably not because you're a dividend growth investor looking to grow your dividend income for a different reason, but it's a notable that they do pay a dividend. They've done it for 9+ years now, even though the yield and increases aren't large. So, hey,
guys, there it is. Apple, AAPL, a 4.5% increase, kind of at or below their 5-year growth rate on average. You know, we'll have to see what they end up doing if things look better for them going forward. Not to say things look bad for them, but
yeah. So number 5 here. This one was a pretty solid increase. It's a company, paper, office supply products. We don't need to spend a ton of time on them. They're not a sexy dividend stock by any stretch, but they could potentially earn a spot in your portfolio. That company, Avery Dennison, ticker symbol AVY. They announced a nice increase for their quarterly dividend. It was 68 cents. Now it's 75 cents. So that's a 10.3% increase. Their yield is now 1.63%, and they've increased that dividend for 12 consecutive years.
You know, in Avery, they've got a nice big, production / work facility in Northeast Ohio. I pass it every day on my drive. So you gotta, even though they're headquartered, I believe in California, that they have a nice facility in Northeast Ohio for Avery Dennison.
That's what I'm talking about. So again, congrats. Kudos to you if you're an Avery shareholder and got that 10.3% increase. Company number 6 here. I almost left off the second hand here. Discover Financial Services, ticker symbol DFS. This one, Laney, you know what? I've done the last few. Why don't you take the Discover dividend increase here?
We've owned a little bit of this in my wife's portfolio. Kind of, we're buying them during. Oh, you too, nice.
My wife, yeah, she's got them as well. So
yeah, buying during the pandemic, before the pandemic. Big card service provider. Obviously, a lot of people have. Oh, I've got the combination of the Visa, the Master, and the Discover card in my wallet. So if you not only own a Discover card credit card, but hopefully you own Discover Financial Services stock, because they just increased their dividend 20%, baby. They went from 50 cents to 60 cents, a 10% per share per quarter increase, now yielding well over 2.2%. 12 plus years of dividend growth. And they also announced a nice, juicy stock buyback plan of over $4 billion, baby.
wow. So this one to me is interesting because Discover and how they are fundamentally different from Visa and MasterCard. Discover is going to hold these credit cards on their book. They keep these loans for them. That's what's different between Visa and MasterCard, who get a lot of fee income interchange from their own. They don't hold those actual credit card balances. I think it's fascinating that as inflation is creeping up, as people are screaming recession, interest rates are rising, Discover, a credit card company in a consumer area that's going to be hit by a lot of delinquencies and issues if there is a true recession, is looking ahead and still managing to increase that dividend 20%. That's fascinating to me.
They kind of like being a dividend investor. They turn off the noise and they just keep doing their thing. They just stick to the strategy and it must be working. So congratulations, shareholders, for DFS.
It's like the old Beats by Dre commercial. What was it, Kevin Garnett, when he was in the bus landing with the fans screaming, just looking out the window?
That's right. Just stay focused, stay humble, keep staying hungry, and do your strategy. You do you. And that's what Discover Financial has done.
For number 7, wait a second, Laney. Do you hear that? Granger, 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 Granger. Anyone figure out what company number 7 is? Granger, ticker symbol GWW. Laney has been all aboard that Granger train. Woo, woo here. And now he is getting a nice dividend increase as a result of it. I mean, it wasn't Discover levels, but you can't complain about this one here, especially right now. Quarterly dividend was 162. Now 172. That's a 6.2% increase. Not bad, Lanny. Not too bad.
No, not bad. Actually, kind of, to me, because my expectations are pretty low sometimes on companies such as Granger, but they've had such a price run up over the last 5+ years. And I was gobbling up this stock probably around that same time ago. Very lucky and fortunate during then. But yeah, they just came out with a 6%. I think that's a great dividend increase during this volatile time period for especially a dividend aristocrat. And Bert, how many years though have they been growing this dividend?
I have to correct you here, Lanny, because the notes are showing 50+ consecutive increases. They're like, you know what? I'm a dividend aristocrat. Let me take off that hat here, throw it out. No, I'm a dividend king, and he's going to put the new crown on. That is fantastic stuff here for Granger. Congratulations, Lanny, Granger shareholders. And Granger yourself, congrats on earning that heralded title of becoming a dividend king.
Crown him. Crown the Granger. Anytime you see the truck or hear it on the radio or get one of their big product magazines in your workplace mailbox, tip your cap.
Yeah, you'll think of Lanny when that happens. Number 8, again, this one will be more of just a let's just discuss the increase, because it's not the sexiest of the group again either.
Great though. It's great. It's great.
It's great because it's boring, but it's American Waterworks, ticker symbol AWK. Their dividend went from 60.3 cents to 65.5 cents, an 8.7% increase. Their yield is now 1.66%. And they've increased that dividend for 8 consecutive years.
Guys, a water company, a utility player with probably the most finite resource that there is, water, is beating the rate of inflation, which is hard to do right now as inflation's at that all-time high of over 8% with this increase to the shareholders of AWK. I love it. What a great, that's it. This is a pure straight up dividend growth stock. You're going to get a modest yield, but a great growth rate, right?
It's like that baseball player that just hits like Michael Brantley for the Indians. So like hits 300, makes solid contact, 20 home runs, 90 RBIs, just great player that you want in your lineup.
Just they call him Dr. Smooth.
Yeah, that's great. Do we even want to talk about number 9, Lanny? Because I'm still a little pissed off. I know
I'm letting you talk about number 9 because, gosh dang it, you talk about number 9, Bert. This one is all you, and relate this back to Apple, their yield and their growth rate, and then just flip it.
Okay, so that was a reminder here, everyone. We talked about the technology sector. Apple, 4.5% increase, and we were talking about how we were frustrated with that. Now
with a 0.6% yield.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, thank you. 0.6% yield. Oh yeah, now I see what you're saying. Now I missed exactly what you were trying to say here. Let's talk about our friends, the old legacy tech company here, International Business Machines, IBM. It's like the old Price is Right. We need like the you lost in Price is Right sound going over the top. They increased that quarterly dividend, if you consider this an increase, from 164 to a blistering 165, a 0.6% increase, yield 4.74%, 27 years of dividend growth investing. All right, so they keep their aristocrat crown. Barely. Nobody's happy about this. Everyone's pissed off that IBM still can't increase their dividend. They had their spinoff of their other area, and they're still not producing more of a dividend increase for IBM. I mean, I don't really have much more to say because it's still frustrating and the wound is still open.
Are you trying to be like Stone Cold? And that's all I gotta say about that. I mean,
pretty much.
It's they're going through a very interesting time. I still think, still trying to kind of find themselves, still here to see if cloud is really the way that is going to propel their future. Obviously their yield at the time of the increase was around Apple's growth rate. So that's what I was referring to.
I missed it until I started saying it. I know exactly where you're going with that.
But now the yield's actually closer to 5% by the end of the week on April 29th. So there could be some better yield there.
At least it gets you closer to that 10% dividend growth factor we always.
Yeah. So slow dividend growth. And honestly, I just don't have many words to say except we both own it. You own it. I own it. A lot of my friends and peers own it. At least for collecting a nice dividend yield right now. Maybe you're getting paid to wait for it very much. Even their stock prices pretty much hasn't moved in years. So
yeah, I mean, I think paid to wait, you're right. Eventually we're gonna have to figure out what all these legacy tech companies are doing because Intel's trying to break out of its funk. IBM is as well. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next year or so. Should we round this out, Lanny, with number 10 here? Let's at least have some fun.
Number 10.
All right. 10. We are heading into a much different sector. Raytheon Technologies, ticker symbol RTX. Oh, yeah. All right, let's end with a solid increase. Quarterly dividend 51 cents. Now it's 55 cents, a 7.8% increase. Their yield is 2.21%. That gives you a dividend factor of 10, which is what we like to see. That's how we end this list in style, Lanny. Isn't that right?
There are a lot of shareholders that always debate Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Raytheon Tech. Buying any of the three, you can't go wrong. All three are great dividend growth stocks. Truly, truly, truly. And guys, Raytheon is another great dividend stock to own for your stock portfolio.
All right, so I can rapid fire these 10, Lanny, if you're interested.
All right. Ready. Let's do it.
Kellogg, 1.7%. Parker Hannifin, 29%. Cisco, 4.3%. Apple, 4.5%. Avery Dennison, 10.3%. Discover, 20%. Granger, 6.2%. American Water Works, 8.7%. IBM with a Okay, fine. I'll still keep it on here. It's an increase of 0.6%, and Raytheon Technologies 7.8%.
Hey, I mean, IBM, you're at least getting 4 cents more per year per share you own.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Um,
Yes.
so
Yes.
Bert, out of these
Yes.
10 dividend growth stocks, how many do you own on this list?
My wife owns Discover. I own IBM. That's it for me. I'm hitting 200 this week. What about you, Lanny?
I'm a Hall of Famer because I'm betting 300 because yes, I have the same Discover, IBM, and Granger. I get the Granger in the portfolio.
Everyone, let us know how many of these 10 do you own? What are you doing with IBM if you own them? Apple, what are your thoughts on that? Those are obviously the two big tech ones from the week. And always, if we haven't already, please everyone subscribe to our channel. Give this video a nice thumbs up. Dividend increases, that's what it's all about. We're hyped up. You're hyped up. Everybody, let's go.
Again, we appreciate it. Everybody can't wait for the feedback. Thanks for stopping by. That was Bert, the Hurt, and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.